How do you bottle feed your baby when you're not at home? I've created a simple, cheap and effective way for you to feed your baby anywhere in the world. And that includes at your friend's house, at your parents', at the park, on an aeroplane, on a train, at the top of the Eagle's Nest, at the top of the Empire State Building, in a cave. Literally, this method will work for you no matter where you are. But more importantly, it costs minimal amounts of money. And as a first-time parent, we all know how expensive baby equipment is. So just to show you, here's a video that I made for you guys in Luxembourg. We recently enjoyed a 3-week road trip around Europe with our 7-month-old son George in a converted Ford Transit van. Enjoy the video. If you've got any questions, feel free to ask them in the comment section and I will try our best to answer them for you. And if you're looking for more tips and tricks, then come and join us on our social media channels, Gemma and George Travels. Enjoy. And it's quite simple really. There's 3 pieces of equipment that we will not travel without. The first one is our Tommy Tippy Thermos Flask. So in the UK this costs around £14 or £15 depending on where you purchase it from, and it has and can hold enough water to warm up 1 bottle really. We have 9-ounce bottles. I know that in Europe you can buy and purchase 12-ounce bottles. I have got some of those also, and this flask does work for them too. All you've got to do is obviously boil your kettle before you leave, put it in your flask, and then when you need to feed, you just pour the water inside and then place the bottle in there. Leave it in for a few seconds or a few minutes dependent. You can also, it's George grabbing another important item, you can also, when you're burping your baby, pop the bottle in here so that it keeps warm whilst you're moving along. Now what happens if you don't have access to a kettle? All you have to do is go into a cafe or any kind of restaurant, give them the flask and they'll fill it up for you. Now I always tend to unscrew the lid, but this particular flask you can pop the lid to lock it and pour it out that way. Now obviously you can get lots of different types of thermos flasks, but for us, because we're travelling and we're carrying it around, we don't want it to be too heavy, we don't want it to be too large either. So this for us has been a phenomenal purchase and I've used it all over. The second piece of equipment that you will need is a milk powder dispenser. Now again, there's lots of different varieties that are available on the market. This for us came from Tesco, cost a couple of pounds and works really well for us. You can fill it up before you leave, and you literally just open the lid and then just dispense it into your baby bottle. You need to find out how many scoops of your powder these can carry. So if, for example, you are using, like we are, a 9-ounce bottle and you purchase a milk powder dispenser like this one that is meant to last you all day, and that could be 4 or 5 feeds, you're going to struggle. This is available for 3 feeds for us, and each compartment holds 9 scoops, so therefore we'll produce feeds for George of 9 ounces 3 times. We also do carry a backup. George tends to eat more for his morning feed and for his night feed, and for them we just use plastic containers that are meant for weaning. This is one here, and this will carry I think 8 scoops, so we have 2 of these. Buy them in a packet, cheap and cheerful, they wash up really well, which helps, and they've got a very good seal lid for when you're moving about, so we're a big fan of these. And obviously the third thing that you will need is the baby bottle itself. So for us, I always have them ready made here. I make these usually the night before, and I'll get bottled water, I'll put it in the kettle and boil it, I'll let it cool down, and then I'll fill up the bottles for the next day. So for us, George feeds 4 times a day, and usually they're 3 or 4 hours apart. I keep them always in a Ziploc bag because they leak, and when you're moving around, you don't want your bags to get ruined. And also, if for example now George hasn't taken his 9 ounces. I think he's going through a bit of a teething phase or a growing phase where he's not that interested in his milk. We do try to wean him. It's obviously quite difficult when you're in a van like we are at the minute. We have got baby porridge, which when we have access to, when we're in the van around his feeding time at the 3 p.m, we will do that. Or at the minute we've just gone and purchased some baby food from a supermarket. So this is a really good example of why you should keep your bottles separately in a Ziploc bag. So George has got this now. As you can see, we're outside a museum. It's a really nice place. Where would we pour this water? So we're going to have to keep that in, and then I put that in a Ziploc bag. Here's one I have. And then I can just close that and just be safe in the knowledge that we're not ruining anything. We're not looking like scruffs by pouring out baby milk on a nice street, and that everything for the rest of the day is absolutely fine. And so there you have it. That's really all you need when you're feeding abroad or when you're feeding anywhere outside of your home. You can use this when you're out in the car, you can use this when you're on a day trip, visiting friends. Really, it's quite simple and a cheap way of doing things. All in all, a £15 flask and a milk powder dispenser, that's a couple of pounds. Your baby bottles are standard, you're going to need them whether you are formula feeding or breastfeeding and expressing. As you can tell, we've just fed George, so he's quite happy now. Always carry around with you a spare bib and a spare muslin cloth. Again, use a Ziploc bag. You all know it out there, how smelly stale milk muslin cloths can get, and if it's really hot weather like it is currently in Europe, you don't want to be walking around smelling of baby vomit. So there you go. So I hope that you've enjoyed watching this video and that you found it useful. If you have, feel free to subscribe to our channel, and if you're looking for any more information in terms of how you can travel with a baby around the world, or for any more tips on baby travel, visit our website www.gemandgeorge.com. See ya!